So it's my great honor to welcome all of you here on this online event of the Inclusion Erasmus project. My name is Aida Vežić and I'm Secretary General of the Balkan Museum Network. We are a proud partner of this project that is dealing with a very important topic. And that is, how do we make culture accessible to all citizens, to all individuals, regardless of their characteristics. We have a rich program today, and we will start with presentation of the project because we were mentioning this inclusion project. So just that you get a sense about its scope, its planned results and planned activities. It's best that we start with introducing you to our project. And I would like to welcome Associate Professor Dr. Kevser Çınar from Turkish Academy of Science, TUBA, to give us the overview of the inclusion project. Kevser, the floor is yours. I will share the screen.
Thank you so much, Aida, for organizing this event. And I would like to thank all the partners and all the participants now here with us. So, yeah, I will start talking about explaining what is this inclusion project. Inclusion project, as you see the title, it was an Erasmus Key Action 2020, 220. It's a kind of strategic partnership between different partners from Europe and from Turkey, and it was funded 2 years ago. And now we are about to come to the end of the project. So in the presentation, next slide, you can see what we are going to talk. Maybe we can move to the next slide, Aida.
I did move. Did you see?
Yes, now I can see. So as you see here, first of all, I would like to mention a few words about the Turkish Academy of Sciences, because some people think that it is a higher education institution as a university, but it is a kind of autonomous national academy in Turkey dedicated to promoting scientific and international research and projects, supporting scholars and advising on scientific policy. And our vision or mission, or we aim to be an accessible, reputable, and effective national academy of sciences. And we are trying to guide science policies, encouraging scientific studies, and again, international projects and achievements. So we work as the applicant, but of course, this project is a project with the partners, because we have very valuable and strong partners in this project. As you see, from Turkey, we have Anadolu University and Özel Sobe Autism Center, private Sobe Autism Center, and Artifactory from Greece, and from Netherlands, SEALS and Balkan Museum Network. As now Aida, they are organizing these events. So in the project, we can move to the next slide. I would like to talk about the project aim. Our aim actually is to increase the accessibility of individuals with different types of disabilities to cultural heritage places and tourism places, to overcome the lack of resources. And our project somehow focuses on creating, designing a new e-skills portfolio for students, for the cultural heritage experts or museum curators, for university students, or for anyone who is willing to learn and eager to know more knowledge about it. So any kind of related staff, trainers are also our target group. So we want to assist somehow audiences with visual, auditory, intellectual disabilities and mobility impairments and autism spectrum disorder. Also, we focus on 5 different category of disabled audiences. And the main objective of the project is to reconcile the educational curriculum and market the needs for an inclusive cultural heritage as per the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And we can move to the maybe other slide. Also in the project, as you see, we have 5 work packages, and the first one is about project management issue. I will not talk about it, but in the work package 2, in every work package, we have some outputs. We have to achieve some results based on what we plan to do. So, for example, so far in the work package 2, maybe we can move to the next slide to talk about the details about work package 2. We develop and deliver a training program to increase awareness and understanding of the particularities of audiences with visual, auditory, mobility impairments, and with autism spectrum disorders among stakeholders, trainees, and organizations in the cultural sector. We try to guide our target group and university students from both humanities field or science to work with mentors, also project team staff, to create cultural experiences that are accessible in digital platforms and inclusive to audiences with these special needs. So in a way, we try to equip trainees with the skills to design cultural offers for persons with disabilities. Also, maybe we can move to the next slide to see the specific activities under work package 2. As you see here, we have 3 activities, and the first one, before developing the training program, we carried out 2 surveys, qualitative interviews with sector representatives from cultural heritage sector and tourism sector, and also the skills needs survey, also with the special education trainers, and then skills needs survey we carried out in the heritage sector for audiences with special needs. And there we try to identify the needs, the skills needs and the training needs of the target audiences, as they will also, we try to understand the needs of these trainers and educators, because we need to guide them and train them, as they will replicate the training in their own countries, in their own organizations or institutions. Then we conducted a training needs analysis to determine all the skills and knowledge gaps of the project target group. And this training program was designed to address these gaps and ensure that target group have the necessary competencies to effectively carry out their roles in the project. And the training program first prototype and explained in the study visits in Sarajevo, Bosnia Herzegovina last October. But later also this training program was delivered in a classroom-based training and online training, and they will be all accessible through our project website. So you can have an access to learn about more details, or if you are curious about this training, you can check our project website as well. And also, yeah, you see now we work package 3. But under work package 2, also we developed a guide based on the easy to read methodology, and Anadolu University was leading this guide. Maybe Dr. Tezcan will talk about it when he was talking. It was about, again, guidance of the related people, the specific characteristics of these disabled audiences, how to approach them in a museum or in cultural heritage places. So this was also another output of work package 2. And under work package 3, we aims to, again, focusing more the knowledge and tools and methods to design inclusive cultural heritage experiences for disability audiences. And in that way, we try to train the students to interpret cultural heritage and design digital experiences using replicable tools and inclusive methods. And for that, from Art Factory, Dr. Dorothea leading this, delivering the MOOC and giving the online trainings about the digital cultural content, how to create digital cultural content, and developing shared references codes and new paradigms of representations for disability audiences. And we try to establish or to give information about the standards for accessible digital narratives tailored to various disabilities. And in terms of our project, also we need to define a skills portfolio for the target group and for the students working at the intersection of cultural heritage, digital innovation, and special education, bridging a crucial skills gap in the labor market, because there is a huge gap in the labor market. It was also, you will hear about the results of the survey, and then you will understand how big is the gap actually in terms of accessibility in tourism issue. So under Work Package 3, we directly try to support the project overall goal of promoting inclusive, technology-driven and participatory access to cultural heritage. And as I said before, we developed a MOOC. Art Factory was responsible and the leading on this work task. So they developed a MOOC in heritage interpretation consisting of 4 module online courses, and aiming to help students and the related target group understand heritage values and interpret assets through aesthetic, social, and spiritual lenses. Also, we developed an online training in digital culture, and we implemented this, and a digital workspace enabling and collaborative training platform also developed. Then also open access on audiovisual library. We are planning to create a shared digital resource for educators and students to exchange knowledge and best practices in accessible digital heritage experiences under this Work Package 3. And we are still delivering these resources when we complete under this open access audiovisual library. And in the next slide, we can move. Yeah, you also see here the details of Work Package 3. We have 3 activities. And also one of the activities about adapting the digital cultural content to audiences with disabilities, we try to give training activities related with storytelling techniques for the generation of audiovisual narratives for audiences with disabilities. It was held in Amsterdam last April. So we get some training about content design, training in digital culture, training materials, and the skills portfolio, because we are planning to design a digital storytelling as a part of ebook concept, because in the next deliverable on the Work Package 4, maybe we can move to Work Package 4. It was, the title as the leading had students to rewind the digital cultural supply for audiences with disabilities. Under this work package, what we are trying to aim again, equip the students and the target group with the competences and micro-credentials, especially, I mean, from the target group, the educators, the trainers, the museum curators or cultural heritage staff, to provide them, to equip them with the competencies and micro-credentials required to redesign and enhance the digital cultural supply chain for audiences with disabilities. So we try to address a critical societal and market gap, because there is a limited accessibility to cultural heritage. despite it is proven contribution to personal happiness and well-being, and it is a right for everybody. Everybody has the right to access, to visit, to learn, and to have this experience actually. So we try to define and validate. We are going to do this. We haven't finished this yet. Some micro credentials reflecting essential transversal and digital skills in terms of organization, intercultural awareness, accessibility design that enable future professionals to serve disability audiences effectively. So now we are on the work package 4. We are working on the activities, and also it will help foster employability and talent retention within the heritage and cultural industries by building a pool of qualified graduates capable of delivering inclusive, experience-based cultural services. And also advance accessibility innovation in the heritage sector by integrating digital storytelling, inclusive design, and policy orienting thinking into higher education curriculum is something also important. So we are trying to achieve this, but we have to admit that it is a really challenging project because we are focusing on very diverse target group in the disability from the disability audiences. So it is a bit challenging because we even do not have a proper sample who is trying to adjust a tourism asset into a digital platform that is accessible for all these kind of disability group. So it will be something challenging, but we are really trying to do our best, at least to show some samples for the ones who are interested to learn more. And based on this project, I hope we can move on and continue to learning from the mistakes or the problems or the challenges we have in this project, how to cope with them and how to improve them. In the next projects, maybe it will be even better to focus specifically 1 or 2 types of maximum disability groups and to create digital tools for them. Maybe this could be another way of dealing with this. Also, as you see here, again, we have 3 activities under work package 3. So what we are going now, as all the partners except Netherlands, we choose 8 cultural heritage assets or places from our regions, and then we try to focus explaining or giving information using digital storytelling for the disabled audience. So we have to simplify the text, the explanation, the storytelling, and then we will using this sign language tools and subtitles and also audiovisual versions and some video adaptations. We try to make these assets, we will work accessible for this group. And then when we finalize it, you can access all the outputs, all these ebooks, because we will develop them, design them in an ebook format. Then through our website, you can have a check and try to see better what we are planning to do. But now we are still working on this output. And also in these multimedia ebooks for audiences with disabilities, we try to reimagine cultural storytelling through accessible formats, as I said, through audio, visual, tactile, and simplified narrative, and try to demonstrate how digital culture can reconnect disability audiences with heritage meanings and values. But we have to admit that it is also really challenging for us to even simplify the text because of the diversity of the disabled audiences we are focusing on. And in each ebook, because we develop 5 different ebooks for each partner. Then each ebook serves as a replicable model for inclusive, multisensory communication for the heritage sector. And based on all these results, we are also planning to create a policy guide for access to culture for audiences with disabilities, and it addresses cultural institutions, policymakers, educators promoting standardized approach to digital inclusion in the heritage context. Also, the evaluation and validation of the outputs of these ebooks is also important for us, because at the end, when we complete the ebooks, all ebooks and learning activities will be tested by the real participants with visual, auditory, intellectual, and mobility impairments, as well as autism spectrum disorder. And based on their feedbacks, we will also try to see how these stories or digital ebook can be improved, can be better served to the needs of these group of audiences. So the feedback is really important in this project. And yeah, the essence of work package 4, actually we try to transform the inclusion from a conceptual aspiration into a measurable credentialed and policy informed practice. So we try to empower the students, the learners, the educators, the trainers to create accessible cultural narratives and validates their competences through open badges and support the heritage sector long-term competitiveness by nurturing an inclusive digital workforce. And our last work package is communication and kind of dissemination. So branding project achieved results. So for that, we have a website, and our Dutch partner, Seals, created this website, and this, maybe we can even show the website. I didn't put it here. Then we try to make some social media campaigns, because we have Facebook and we have also project, some social media accounts. You can follow our project there. I'm sure it will be shown during these presentations. Yeah, that is shortly, not short, but the specific information about our project. Before finishing it, I would like to recommend you, we will have a conference on the 10th of January in Istanbul. It will be held in Bosporus University, Boğaziçi University. So if you are interested to join, we can even have a hybrid format, so you can even present online. The registration is free, so you can send your abstracts, and the deadline is extended till 15th of November. So you can just click, or you can just contact with us for more information, and we can help you. Because it is nice to, if you have some experiences, if you want to share some ongoing research, some best practices, or you just want to learn or hear what we are doing, what the others are doing related with that topic, you are very welcome to join us in that conference as well. So thank you for your time. And if you have any questions, we are here to answer.
Thank you, Kevser. It's not easy to summarize such a comprehensive project that deals with many stakeholders and many interests. And having said that, I would like to invite our participants to write in the chat the name of the organization where you're coming for. We are now 44 people, just to get a sense of the representation. If you are coming from Association of Disabled People or from a museum, you can write down your institution and a country. But let's move on with the presentations. I will invite my colleague, Dr. Tezcan Cavusoglu. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your surname. He will talk about the research done by Anadolu University related to comparative perspective on accessibility for individuals with disability in Turkey. Tezcan, the floor is yours.
Do you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Hello, dear inclusioners. This is Dr. Tezcan Cavusoglu speaking from Turkey, Anadolu University. As Aida and Dr. Kevser said, we did lots of things in the world, but being an inclusioner is a never-ending learning process, actually. For this reason, in our road, we did some research to shape our next step. And this setup, we try to create some education materials like easy to read some documents about how we support accessibility in cultural heritage site. And also we try to learn some hints from the needs of the individual with special needs to create something bigger, more inclusive, um, cultural, inclusive stories actually. For this reason, today I'm trying to give you a hint about how the accessibility for individuals with special needs in Turkish context and the cultural heritage sites actually. This study explores some stakeholders' experiences of accessibility at cultural heritage sites that participants, including parents, individuals with special needs, and our individual with special needs and the parent representing some um, groups like learning disability, individual with physical disability, individual with um, vision loss and blind and hearing, individual with hearing loss and deaf. And last part of our participant group was the individual with autism spectrum disorders, actually. Our research assessed um, their views on access, current practices, how they suggest, what they suggest for improvements, and what are the staff competence in assisting people with special needs, actually, in Turkish context. So we use a mixed method approach. So we combining qualitative and quantitative research methods, actually. We're using simultaneous transformative design, and we use some online open-ended question and rating scales, and we did some semi-structured interview to understand what are the current gaps, problems, effective application, and we did use some content analysis to identify the key themes and patterns. Overall, this study included 112 participants with diverse backgrounds, actually. 68% of the participants were female and 30% of the male. Most participants had a bachelor degree or a master degree, and the largest occupational group was the teachers, actually. And 40 of participants have children with special needs. The most common condition is the autism spectrum disorders. Additionally, 13% of participants themselves had special needs, including learning difficulties, physical disabilities, and autism spectrum disorders. The average age of participant was 34 actually, and the average professional experience was, because we have some cultural side agent in the our participant groups, was 9 years. Actually, our first result is the perception of the inclusivity in cultural heritage sites. Our 30, 35% of our participants highlighted that inadequate structures such as ramps, elevator, and wide doors that prevent individuals with special needs from accessing. And 14% of participants note that employees who have not received the necessary training to communicate effectively, and the communication barrier, one of the most problematic barrier in the cultural heritage sites in terms of accessibility uh, for individuals with disabilities. And also social awareness, also problematic. 13% stated that the insensitivity of society and the service providers that hinders the accessibility and inclusivity with individuals with special needs, actually. And there are some needs about accessing this institution. 12% of our participants note that the lack of auditory or the tactile content that limits the interaction of the individual with hearing loss or visual impairment, as well as some the other developmental disabilities actually. So what are the impacts of employee attitudes on cultural access? So 13% of participants stated that inadequate training in effective communication with individuals with special needs. And this creates some significant and a big threat to cultural participation. And also, uh, there is this some interesting results actually. I would put emphasis on. I should put emphasis on. 5% of our participants stated that the staff either exhibited overly protective attitudes or completely indifferent attitudes, which is both of them hinder the participation of individuals with special needs. This is the one of the most important problems, also gaps that we came across our research process actually. So, what is the effects of socially inclusive cultural content? What are the recommendations? Are there any? Yes. So, the first one is the developing empathy. 37% of our participants stated that sensitive content in cultural institution would increase the empathy in society. And it would be used to create a more understanding environment to become more inclusive and more accessible. And also, raising awareness is something that our participants mostly stated. Actually, 27% of our participants suggest that inclusive content would raise the awareness of individuals' special needs in society. Because, as I said before, there is a lot of overprotective behavior and the prejudice about this minority, actually. So, if we talk about prejudice or empathy, we need to talk about how aware are they of their cultural rights. Actually, our study shows that participants had varying levels of awareness regarding the cultural rights. While 40% of participants stated that they were aware of their rights to access cultural heritage sites, a significant proportion admitted that they lacked knowledge, and some participants emphasized that need to develop accessing rights and make them more accessible, actually. While others other participants stated that they were unable to actively exercise their rights for various reasons. What are the various reasons actually? Actually, it's kept hidden in the application. Let's talk about the effectiveness of the cultural heritage application actually. When we ask about the effectiveness of current practices in cultural institution in terms of inclusivity actually, our participants stressed that has significant gaps. Many stated that current practices are insufficient to encourage the participation. And one participant or one of our participants observed that um, the current cultural heritage practices have made some progress, like using braille or using the visual signage or the audio description, but innovation may be needed for this field to develop further and become more inclusive. And he stressed that the cultural heritage agents need to comparative education to communicate, not also for inclusiveness, but also their um, their specific progress in their specialty actually. They want this. When we examine our results, they want some serious courses about how to communicate with the different groups, not only individual with special need, but also individual with have some communication problems actually. So keep going with the other initiatives. Um, our study revealed that awareness of the successful inclusive initiatives in cultural heritage site is said that through alarmingly low, while some participants could identify positive examples, such as accessible living centers, free access to companions or brochures, the majority either had no knowledge. I mean, the majority, like 40% of total participant group. It's a uh, very serious percent actually had no knowledge of such practices or expressed negative views about existing efforts actually. So what are the recommendations for improving accessibility in terms of successful inclusive initiatives? First, 51% of our participants suggested that physical access solutions such as ramps, access aids, or visual signage and stay modification must be done and uh, used for the more accessible spaces, creating more accessible spaces actually. The second one, enhancing sensory and information access. Um, 48% of all participants suggested that arrangements that would support audiovisual access, including content and appeals to multiple senses for a more inclusive experiences actually. They use audio descriptions, visual signage, braille translation, simplified alt text. There is a lot of actually enhancing sensory tools. And there is other important recommendation for improving accessibility is that staff training and formations. 21% of participants emphasize that there is a need for trained staff who can assist um, individually with to uh, sorry in cultural venues actually. So what is the role of the staff in promoting inclusion? When we ask the participant who working in the cultural artist sites, 44% of staff emphasize that the need to be sensitive and aware when providing training tailored to individuals with special needs. But there is a minimal group in our participants who have um, education before about how to become more sensitive, how to communicate with the individual with disabilities actually. And the effective communication is also one of our important results actually. It was not that the staff with the strong communication skills are critical for meaningful interaction with people with special needs actually. But as I said before, there is some scars about the education actually. So what are the basic needs comes from the individual with special needs. 25% of our participants emphasize that the importance of accurately analyzing the needs of individuals with special needs and providing appropriate support and tailored solutions must be done as soon as possible because as one of our uh, participants who have children with autism spectrum disorders, uh, saying and alarming this situation. As you see, the mother experience actually summarizing the needs, supports, and empathy situation. Um, and also, there is some need about raising a social awareness. 20, 20% of our participants stated that society is sensitive to the needs of individuals with special needs, facilitates their participation to cultural heritage sites. Most of our participants believe that both individuals with special needs and also cultural heritage sites agent believe the society um, does not fully know how is feeling have a disability or um, the special needs. Because of this, these cultural heritage sites could not be fully examined because of this gap. For this reason, there is some problem. Firstly, for the physical access, actually, between 50% and 64% of our participants rated the condition for building access, contact with institution, parking areas, restrooms, cafes, lockers, rest areas, information points, and lots of them uh, highlight the important areas for improvement, but uh, there is some limitations for physical accessibility in those areas. Sadly, lots of our participants, like half of them, rated average or below average. This these institutions accessibility. So, what about the individual with special needs and their parents? How do they get information? When we asked about obtaining information on cultural heritage sites, participants cited social media as their primary source, while websites and word of mouth also emerged as important sources. However, uh, 56% of our participants rated the accessibility of tourist information at cultural institutions as average or below average. That indicating significant gaps in the presentation and accessibility of information tailored to visitors' specific needs. Actually. So, what are the recommendations about um, alternative information presentation? So first one is the use the media tools. 36% of participants stated that alternative media tools such as Braille, audio description, and tactile models are not widely available or are only offered to a limited extent in cultural institutions. And the other important requirement is that our 24% of our participants emphasize that tools such as Braille or visual auditory content need to become more widespread, actually. So, what about the recommendations about these technologies, actually? Or 90% of our participants believe that AR and VR application, which enable to visual exploration of inaccessible spaces, lots of cultural heritage sites are national treasure. Because of this, you can basically break down and put some accessible stairs or the other physical adaptation. But you easily put some VR and the AR adaptation of these cultural heritage sites. And other recommendation is about voice description and guides. Nearly uh, all of our participants rate the audio description as important accessibility tools that provide vital information. Both visually impaired visitors and the other visitors actually, because giving some audio descriptions enrich the experience for all visitors actually. So how they see the importance of the digital accessibility tools. As you see, participants largely recognize the importance of various digital accessibility tools. The highest rated tools include the tactile devices, interactive games, and audio descriptions. All of them nearly over 90%. They rated these accessibility tools important or very important. Uh, these results demonstrating strong consensus on the value of digital accessibility solutions actually. So what are the current issues and gaps? So nearly half of our participants reported that sensory access materials such as tactile replicas are insufficiently provided or limited. So 40% of our participants stated that interactive experiences, which are particularly valuable for visitors with special needs, are insufficient. So, uh, what are key findings? Actually, our study revealed a significant gaps in accessibility for individuals with special needs in terms of physical access, staff training, information accessibility, and sensory experiences in cultural heritage sites for Turkey. Most participants, like 56 to 64%, rated physical accessibility feature as average or below average. So, what we recommended to inclusioner or cultural heritage site agent, first, remove the physical barriers and standardize the accessibility in cultural heritage site. If the cultural heritage science is hindered the physical adaptations, apply multi-sensor adaptation on them, and design cultural spaces as teaching environments with explanations ranging from the simple to complex, and create predictable environments through maps, brochures, and social studies, and using AR and VR to become more accessible actually. And last but not least, expand digital accessibility tools and tactile experiences for all um, person who need to experience the culture, actually. Thanks for listening. Is there any question about this research? I'm gladly try to answering it.
Thank you, Dr. Tezcan, and I would also like to emphasize that we will share the presentations with the participants because the presentations are so rich with data and there's so much to digest. I'm aware that you are not able to stay with us until the end of the meeting when we will have discussion. So if anyone would like to comment or react or ask a clarifying question now about what has been presented in terms of identified barriers and key recommendations, please, you can unmute yourself and ask a question.
Yeah, please.
Yes, there are no questions for now, but for sure this is only the beginning of the conversation. As you shared your email address, we shared the link to the full report. I will also share now the links to the social media of the project, and I believe that people, when they digest all the presentations, they will have maybe more comments. We thank you for your really comprehensive and very nice visually presentation, for your efforts to be with us here today. And thank you for continuing your dissemination and continuation with the students and at the conferences. We heard now part of the research report, but maybe just to go one step back to hear about the overview of the whole report, why we did it and what are the content elements. I would like to invite Dr. Mürsel DOİRUL, an associate professor at the National Defense University, specializing in international relations, to give us a 15-minute presentation of the report. I've seen that Mürsel is with us, so if you can, yes, thank you.
Thank you, Aida. Everyone, do you hear me? And you also see my screen?
Yes, we see your screen and we hear you.
Now I'm sharing my presentation. I hope you can see it.
It was there, but then we lost it. Can you try again?
Okay, just a moment. Now, this is first time that I am using this program with your help, Aida.
Yeah, so you can share the whole screen.
Yes, I'm sharing right now.
Go to
okay, now you see, yes?
Perfect.
Okay, thank you so much. Again, thank you everyone, Aida, and thank you for adjusting this dissemination event. Also, it is really a little bit difficult for me talking after Kevser, Professor Dr. Kevser and Tezcan, because they almost told everything what I need to say. But I summarize the situation from my eye as a researcher in this project. I also would like to salute all the participants from this different geography of Europe, Turkey, all around the world. As Aida introduced me, Associate Professor Dr. Mürsel DOİRUL, representing Turkish Young Academy. Turkish Young Academy is junior academy of the Turkish Academy of Science, mostly including young generation of scientists. So we are, as the coordinator, doing a lot of work. We are almost included all work package in this project. My field is international relations, but I am very much enjoying in this project and learning a lot with colleagues, with professors from different expertise. Every day we are looking for new chance because we are trying to increase the inclusion of people to the cultural heritage, the cultural museum, etc. So as Tezcan included, also I would like to give brief information regarding our surveys and interviews. We were trying to scale what is going on in the cultural heritage field of academy, field of the expert, also directly from the inside cultural heritage fields. And we just look the situation with three different interviews. One was focusing on the supply side, one is focusing on demand side. Supply side was for the work of the museum, etc. But demand side, the user of this cultural heritage place, I am saying right, they are using or they are benefiting, but all in this process, we have aimed to make some kind of awareness that this place should be advanced or transformed to be more inclusive. So here we have the cover page of these two surveys result. You see on the slide that one is survey one for demand side, one is survey second and supply side. Also the table of the contents also included over here. I don't have all my time to give details about results, but I have just tried to summarize a few of them. But this, as Aida probably is going to share, this result will be sharing with the participant of this meeting. If someone want to go through detail, they can click the link from our project website. I think soon it will be active for everyone who want to participate. So we used Google Form having our interview. Just over here, before continuing my presentation, I also would like to thank Professor Dr. Muzaffer Şeker. He is president of the Turkish Academy of Science, also one of the founder of the SOBE, Selçuklu Autism Center. Also, he is very much keen on this project as a social responsibility. Also today, he is not here because of his program in Azerbaijan, but he sent with his best regards to all the participants. Also, I will take the special thank for the TUBA expert Furkan Akbaş. Also, he is one of the participants. He helped these preparing and getting result of these survey interviews. Also, we have many TUBA workers, Turkish Academy of Science workers. They want to help designing, for designing this result. His name is Ali Buğra Ergin from our design office. Also, website graphic designer Zeynep Fidanay. Also, she's from Istanbul office. But all these results come together as a result of the teamwork. We are not alone here. So, as Tezcan said, we had more than 100 participants to the interview. At the end, what we get, it was showing us that we need to transform our field, cultural heritage fields, also education, because main target of our project group is higher education students. We only do not want to improve cultural heritage zones. Also, we would like to improve. We wanted to bring a kind of angle and perspective to the higher education in terms of inclusivity. And right here, we get many answers from different gender, education level, age, employment, prior experience, disabilities, involvement in inclusive practice in the heritage and tourism sector. So we have asked a few questions, as you can see on the page, that what are the barriers to accessibility in cultural space? What are the key skills required to professionally in the heritage and tourism sector effectively serve audience? How the tourism and cultural operators perceive impact of their customers? What are the key inclusive skills required by the professionals in heritage and tourism sector to effectively serve the audience with disabilities? But this fourth, especially very much important, I know our listeners mostly from the museums and from different zone, different experts, but what can we do when we see someone entering our museum with special needs, and how we can talk or how we can present our items to them? This is one of the key target of our project. But also if we go back that while we are starting this project in Ankara with a kick-off meeting, there was one concept or notion. It was pretty much to draw my attention that we are doing social innovation. When we say that innovation only in engineering or maybe medicine science, etc., positive science. But if you look live from the perspective of innovation in the social science, which is totally from the field of this project, we just try to make the families of disabled people's parents' life more quality, more enjoyable, while their children or their relatives having their great time in the museum site or higher education site, without boring, without crying, getting crisis. At the same time, we want to make their parents or their own life more enjoyable, intellectually developed. So that's why our target groups really always force us to be enthusiastic about this project. As lastly, what are the primary barriers and the challenges preventing the implementation of inclusive practice in the heritage tourism sector? How can they be overcome? So here you can see our participants' genders rate. We have more than 42 genders as male and 57 participant females. And the age distribution, as you can see, starting from 18 until 49. And what are the educational background, which is pretty much important for our project, is that primary school just 1%, secondary school 6%, high school 15%, associate degree, and the bachelor, which is our target group, 57%. This is also verifying that our interviews asked to or reached the right target groups, and graduate and postgraduate level is 18% over here. So we are, the result shows us that we really reached well-educated target group and from different level. And we also asked them their experience on this field. Are they having any experience before we asked this question here, right here? They say that they didn't get any education regarding the inclusivity. That just a few of them say that yes, we are having this, but generally what we have learned from the inclusive involvement practice, they said that before they didn't get 59% of these people say that they didn't get any education regarding involvement in inclusive practice in the museum and the higher education field. So this is very much striking point for our project. Just before transforming these places into the more inclusive one, even the workers or students, they didn't be aware, they didn't get an alarming point or regarding the lateness of this need. So this was very much needed for us before starting this project. But of course, there are many more things to be done. But as this Erasmus project, we have certain limits, as you can imagine. We just started with our valuable participant from abroad and 3 participants from Turkey. But for the future, we got very great information from the result of the interview that for the future, we can focus more extended and more collaborative project, because there are a lot of things need to be done. So right here, the employment in the heritage or tourism sector, if we look at who are the participant and who are the participant from different part of our interview, the local municipalities participated our interview, 14%, Ministry of Culture 13%, museum galleries 11%, and archaeological site, cultural centers also totally 16% over here. So we again asked them about their participation in the education, which is bringing insight into their inclusive mindedness. Here we have low engagement, also high engagement from different groups. All will be sharing in our well-designed research report. And we have also asked question regarding vocational training or apprenticeship internship term. And also the other case, the conference and other education accreditation to the Higher Education Council of Turkey, or we just had our result from Turkey. We just asked is there an accreditation or non-accredited training in the inclusive sector? So on the other side, I'm checking my time because I don't want to make Aida angry. But so I can recap with last 2 minutes as awareness at the end of these interviews. We just got very striking and very interesting points that we need to include. We need to focus on more the inclusivity of different groups, disabled group especially. We should first of all increase the training and awareness before turning these places into more accessible one. First of all, we need to realize that in our mind that there are barriers. Even not disabled normal people, they cannot understand what these special needs people needed while reaching these places. In the photo, you can see only one wheelchair person, but we are talking about 5 different categories. So we need to do more things and we need to communicate more. We need to focus our project and the other social responsibility behavior towards this field. There are technical needs, as Professor Dr. Kevser summarized clearly. Also here I have included that helping someone with intellectual disability, how it must be, and for other target group, what we can do, all are including our project. Also, the key findings of our interviews told us that commitment to inclusivity should be increased, effective communication, also the other result which we got, and personal development in understanding of disability, which is equal to the awareness in this part, the collaboration with disabled staff and stakeholders, the adaptive management approaches embrace the social dynamics and diverse knowledge. All maybe you will realize that tells us that we should be so sustainable, even awareness. We should force ourselves to focus continuously to their needs while we're increasing our technological transformations. As a normal person, we should also include some innovation for these disabled groups. So the barriers and challenges in serving disabled audience is lack of training and knowledge should be alleviated, and inadequate resources, infrastructure, limited awareness about disabilities, lack of experiences. This all strongly realized at the end of the interview. And while we are finalizing our project in the conference, we are going to emphasize in our presentation. But so far, you can see on the slide that we have consolidated research report, which can be shared for the interested listener or the expert. Also, we have the easy-to-read book, which is also one of the results of our experience in this project, is going to be published as the publication of the Turkish Academy of Science with the help of the project team. And as lastly, while concluding my speech, the survey suggests several areas for improvement in tourism sector, including digital and social media skills, museum management and marketing, communication, expanding training opportunities, increasing practical awareness in working special needs individuals, and tailoring training and program to specific sectors. But our project is just, I think we are very much started to feel that it is just beginning of a bigger page. We just jump into the very beautiful field to be more helpful or more functional for the society. As Turkish Academy of Science, this time we are doing our science for humanity. So if you have any question, or also for the dear participant, if you want to have such collaboration, towards such project, we will always ready to be a partner or the coordinator. So thank you so much for having your great valuable times. If you have any question, I will be happy to have it. Thank you, Aida.
Thank you, Professor Mürsel DOÐRUL from the Turkish Young Academy, for giving us this really good overview that we have really methodologically strong and sound consolidated research report that looks both into the needs and to the different offer and barriers, and identifies also key recommendations at the end, which I think are the most useful for all the participants with us today. At the end of all the presentations, we have 3 more to go. We have a presentation about the situation in Bosnia and Herzegovina and North Macedonia from our colleagues from the Balkan Museum Network, and at the end, just food for thought. How does this fit into our digital experiences, because we are living our digital lives today? I would then ask a colleague, Aida Berbić, who is a museum pedagogue for the last 12 years in the Art Gallery of Bosnia and Herzegovina, and has been working a lot on designing and implementing inclusive museum activities, to present what were the findings in terms of the needs of associations of disabled people, parents, and also representatives of different groups of disabilities from her research.
Thank you, Aida, for this introduction, but I think that you missed Irena and me. Irena is going to present the part of the needs, and I will present the offering from the side of cultural workers. Greetings from Sarajevo. It is my pleasure to be with you today. I will share my presentation in a moment. So in our research in North Macedonia and Bosnia and Herzegovina, we also try to investigate how much the cultural institutions are accessible in terms of architecture, information, and sensory accessibility from the perspective of cultural workers. But today I'm going to focus specifically on the skills that cultural workers need to have in order to satisfy this population. Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can see.
Great. So the social responsibility of cultural institution is emphasizing recently by the rapid changes in the society, which makes people with disabilities an even more sensitive group in the society. To find out what cultural institutions and their employees can do to facilitate the participation of this population on culture as part of the inclusion project and under the auspices of the Balkan Museum Network Association in July in 2024, a research project was conducted in Bosnia and Herzegovina and in North Macedonia also. With this research, we aimed to identify the skills that cultural workers need to have to satisfy the needs of individuals with disabilities for more accessible heritage and tourism sites. 3 experts included 35 cultural workers from Bosnia and Herzegovina and North Macedonia. 19 participants were from Bosnia and 16 were from Macedonia. We gathered the data through all oral interviews and disseminated the questionnaires online. We have analyzed the results in quantitative, qualitative, and comparative ways. So firstly, let's see the demographic data of the participants. Most of the participants are highly educated. So we can see that we had 6 cultural workers with a PhD degree, 17 of them holding a master's degree, and 12 of them are graduates. Most of the participants are females, so more than a half from North Macedonia, and over 70% participants from Bosnia are also women. Most of the participants are in their 50s, 40s, and 30s. Regarding the types of cultural institutions that are represented in this research, most of the institutions are museum institutions, and 9 of them from North Macedonia, and the same number from Bosnia and Herzegovina. Other types of cultural institutions represented in the research are cultural centers, tourist agencies, non-governmental organizations, archaeological sites, libraries, and archives. It is interesting to compare it with the Turkey's research results, because we have seen that municipalities mostly and ministries of culture were part of the research. The working occupations of respondents from museums vary, but most of those from Bosnia and Herzegovina are employed as visitor service providers, such as museum educators and guides. In contrast, most respondents from North Macedonia are involved in program production. Visitor service providers, such as museum educators and guides, are directly involved in creating positive museum experiences for persons with disabilities. On the other hand, producers of cultural content have a responsibility to create more accessible design and representation. Most of the participants stated that they had experience in working with persons with disabilities, more of them from Bosnia and Herzegovina than from North Macedonia, but that was expected since the majority of Macedonian respondents work in production. Most of respondents also stated that they had received training on disability in the last 5 years, and most of them from Bosnia and Herzegovina were moderately satisfied with the contents of the training. Respondents from Bosnia and Herzegovina also specified that they have mostly received training in museum management and digital skills. Some of them received training in marketing, in social skills, and language training, and 12 of them stated that they didn't had any kind of training on these topics. So now let us focus into the skills that cultural workers are supposed to have to satisfy the needs of people with disabilities in the institutions where they work. It was interesting to see how respondents understood the needs of people with disabilities by ranking the skills they should possess in approaching this population. So on this slide, we can see some of the skills that are ranked as very important. So in the upper left corner, we can see that 14 respondents stated that a cultural worker should consult with the special education experts and make a continuous effort to understand the point of view of a person with disability. On the lower left part of the slide, we can see that 13 of respondents from Bosnia and Herzegovina think that cultural workers should work effectively in a crisis situation. For example, if you have a person with disability in your museum and it has a tantrum, or some kind of other crisis situation, a cultural worker should know how to respond in this kind of situation. On the upper right corner of the slide, we can see that 13 respondents said that a cultural worker should be motivated to learn more about inclusion through visitor interactions. So in these days, when inclusion in regular school has become a common thing in Bosnia and Herzegovina and North Macedonia, very often we as museum educators have classes of students where usually you have 1 or 2 pupils with disabilities, and through those daily interactions, I would say we should learn more about how to approach this population. In the lower right corner, we can see that 13 respondents ranked the skill of demonstrating comfort with differences that exist between non-disabled and disabled audiences as very important. On the next slide, we can see that our respondents ranked very high the skill of knowledge on how to reasonably adjust teaching methods to the needs of people with disabilities. On the lower left part of the slide, we see that 12 of our respondents think that using a correct terminology when we speak with the people with the person with disability, and when we are talking about this population, so we need a proper language and proper etiquette. On the upper right corner, also big number of our respondents said that is for a cultural worker, it is important that he can recognize and respond appropriately to people that are using personal supports. One of the questions in the questionnaires tended for the cultural workers was, how would you recognize a person with a hidden disability? And it was very interesting to see how people responded to this, because it can be very tricky. The people who are working with this social group, they know, they're familiar that some disabilities are invisible, but it is very obvious if a person uses personal support. And the respondents think that it is very important to recognize these kind of people and to respond appropriately immediately. In the lower right corner, we can see that the respondents also highly ranked the skill of recognizing their own biases and to have awareness on how these biases can affect people with disabilities. Not less important, the skills that are represented on this slide. So 12 of our respondents stated that it is very important that a cultural worker respects and is aware of the unique needs of visitors that come from diverse communities. On the lower left corner of the slide, we can see that the same number of respondents think that cultural workers should cooperate effectively with the family members of persons with disabilities, and that they are the biggest source of information and knowledge on the needs of the individuals from this social group. On the upper right corner of the slide, we can see that 10 of the participants thinks that principles of effective service are very important. 5 of them stated that the principles of effective service are important, and 2 of them somehow important. In the lower right corner of the slide, we can see that 9 of our respondents, so a little more than a half, think that having a range of theoretical and practical skills is required to generate solutions to specific problems that can occur during working with people with disabilities in cultural context. 10 of the participants stated that digital assistive technology skills are important. 4 of them think that they are very important, and 3 of them that they are somehow important. On the lower left corner, we can see that 8 of the participants stated that understanding the historical events that have caused harm to particular cultural groups are very important. Also, our participants stated that versatility in recognizing barrier to access and accessibility are important and very important. Also, a demonstration of willingness to relinquish control in encounters with others, to risk failure, and to look within for the source of frustration, anger, and resistance are recognized as important and very important skills. Since we didn't have any data in these particular skills for North Macedonia, here I have stated that cultural workers from North Macedonia think that having trained staff is very, very important. So 22 of the respondents from North Macedonia think that every cultural institution should have trained staff. And 7 of them think that it would be useful that the cultural institution has trained staff. So in a conclusion, and objectively, when we resume all of these research results, I can say that cultural workers are quite aware of the skills and the trainings. Maybe they're lacking in it, but they're quite aware what is important for this social group to feel welcomed and to have a meaningful experience in their cultural institutions. The other story is if we have those kind of trainings, usually those trainings are more theoretical than practical. We think we emphasize that cultural workers should have both, so theoretical and practical approach, and most of all to pay attention on the group visits to the cultural institutions. For example, the classrooms that I mentioned earlier, to pay attention on the individuals with disabilities and to try to learn more about their needs and the ways they can satisfy those needs in the cultural institution context. Okay, we can discuss later. If someone has any questions now, I was stitching to 15 minutes of my time.
Thank you, Aida. It's optimistic and hopeful to know that there is awareness, and as a first step, we have taken this first step, but the road is still long in terms of trainings and, as you said, the combination of practical and theoretical experiences for cultural professionals. And I have encouraged participants also, if they are shy, to unmute themselves to ask a question in the chat. Now we'll have a presentation from Dr. Irena Ruzhin from North Macedonia. She's working in the National Institute Museum and Institute Bitola. Irena.
Yes. Thank you for opportunity to speak about the results we gained from the survey. I can now share my presentation. Aida Šarac is still on the screen, I think.
Yeah, Aida Šarac, if you can just stop sharing. Thank you.
Can you see my presentation?
Not yet.
Not yet. Just a second.
Share the whole screen and then the PowerPoint.
I am sharing the window and I cannot
Not
share
the window,
right
share
now.
the whole screen. Share the whole screen, not the window.
Ne znam.
I have your presentation open. If you want, I can share.
Entire screen. Let me see.
Now PowerPoint, yes. And then the presentation mode. Perfect.
So, I will speak about that. This survey was very important for me and also for the project because we in this research aims to we like to gather insights and identify the needs for services in heritage sector for persons with disabilities. Information they provide will be used only for this research and personal information will not be shared, and responses are anonymized in our final report. We appreciate that they spare time with us and they gave us valuable contribution to this important research, because we ask a series of questions regarding their experience, observations, suggestions related to disability, inclusion, and accessibility. And we say that there are no right or wrong answer. We were interested in honest opinions and experiences, because sometimes we have experienced that many of people with disabilities who attend our program, they will say, oh, everything is perfect, everything is nice, but that's not good, because we like to be evaluated to improve our work with people with disabilities. So for this research, I'd like to thank you, Aida Šarac Berbić, for cooperation, and to Professor Vladimir Trajkovski, who was also involved in research. And according to previous presentations, I think that I will make a short presentation, because many of you said a lot of about this survey. So as you see, the total number of respondents were 79, and many of the people with disabilities from Macedonia were with mixed disabilities. Some of them with intellectual disability, many of them with physical disability, and one with visual impairments. And also in Bosnia and Herzegovina, the situation is similar. Most of them were from a group, let's say group, with physical disabilities and intellectual disabilities. When we asked them about, do you need digital assistive technologies, they said 16 of them that they need. They need orthopedic aids, wheelchairs, glasses, communicators, hearing aids, and software to simplify information. As you see on this slide, 30% from Bosnia need digital assistive technologies, and from our side, 66% because of their primary disability. If we try to identify the biggest barriers, they said, so this is the answers, responses by them. They said the most biggest barriers are physical barriers, entrances of the museums, of the archaeological sites, parkings, toilets, info points, and other rest place, and information on the web. And museum experts lacking knowledge, wrong attitudes and stereotypes still prevail, and poor cooperation, non-systematic dealing with accessibility and inclusion in cultural institutions. So look at the how is the situation in Bosnia and Macedonia about physical accessibility. So it is very small letters, but the green lines are not good. So physical access is rated very low. During a survey, we receive a lot of statements and experience, and the very strong and emotional for me was this. At the Light Festival in the National Museum of Bosnia and Herzegovina, as a wheelchair user, I couldn't enter the botanical garden at the back entrance. The employees' attitudes were as follows. She won't be comfortable with that, and we don't open the back entrance for everyone. There was a lot of experience and confessions and everything, but there was also positive. When I was present at some cultural activities together with a person with disability, I noticed great sensitivity and support from employees. I assume that employees' attitudes are largely shaped by the resources they don't have in the workplace and don't have the tools to be inclusive. And in our lot of questions about accessibility, there was a question about information accessibility, and information accessibility is rated low. You can see on the graph, information accessibility is very interesting that we receive a lot of responses and percentage that social media networks with the 69.4 are very important for them, and accessible online forums for expressing personal opinions about cultural content, 72%. Because when we ask how you are informed about the content in museum and cultural centers, and they said social media. So we have to be focused more on that. And about digital technologies, how digital technologies are important for them. We receive almost equally important for respondents from the Bosnia and Herzegovina and Macedonia, but I heard Tezcan today that they receive a nice, let's say, rating for AR and VR, which was not the case in Macedonia. They were not so sure about the immersive technologies are good for them. So the sensory experience, sensory accessibility to cultural institutions is also rated average. When we ask them about what kind of didactic material and sensory content and what the cultural institution offer to you as tactile replicas and other sensory experience, they said 69% they don't have that. So I think that here on that questions, they are not well informed, because I know that there are sensory experience in many museums. And according to braille text, audiovisual content, etc., they said also no, the museums and cultural institutions don't have that content, so I will say they are not well informed. And do you have information about in Bosnia and Herzegovina? Also, they said no, they don't have. So we receive a lot of positive comments, especially for my museum and National Gallery of Bosnia and Herzegovina, where Aida Šarac works, about our projects. For her, about the project Blue Artism as a positive example for people with intellectual disabilities, and also for our museum, which is really active in improvement of accessibility and content. We constantly adapt for people with disability, together with my colleague Jove Parkovski. And they said that the museum Toše Projevski in Kruševo, you know, Toše Projevski is a new museum and it is a new building. So it was really easy to adapt and to build accessible museums. But for our buildings, it's very difficult to make them accessible, because many of them are cultural heritage monuments, history monuments, etc. So we are trying to understand them, but also they understand us, that we are doing maximum for overcome the obstacles and barriers. They believe that cultural workers should be familiar with the needs of people of disabilities, because they will develop empathy and sensitivity for ethical and professional reasons. Everyone should have equal access to culture to implement better quality content in practice as a key to social inclusion. And they are expecting that cultural institutions should be places where everyone feels welcome. And this is to ensure that they don't violate fundamental human rights. And according to that question, human rights in Macedonia, many of participants in this survey, I was surprised, they don't know a lot about the human rights they have. So that's one point which I like to accent, and due to better communication. And they said that the importance of understanding the needs of people with disabilities is vital for staff in cultural institutions to ensure equal access to cultural heritage, enhance the visitor experience for all, promote social inclusion and diversity, uphold ethical responsibilities, comply with legal standards, improve overall service quality, raise public awareness, which is very important, and reduce stigma, and provide experience, professional, and personal fulfillment. Cultural institutions could promote the inclusion of people with disabilities in many ways. Employing people with disabilities, in my case, there was only 2 who are employed. One is now retirement, and one is still working in the municipality of Bitola, adopting official policies on equity, access, and accessibility, including interpretation on cultural contents in official institution, interpretation strategy, etc., and reasonable adoption of the physical environment, which is very big problem. And they said about recommendation, the museum collaboration with association and schools for special education is key to building trust. We know that because we test that, and that's the formula. Museum reach out to special education association and school to showcase their collection and meet with users and students, and accessible multimedia content on museum social media networks. So we have initiative for inclusion and several points. So let's say identifying the needs, collaborating with the target groups, and using methods that are reasonable, adapted to in the identified needs, multi-sensory experience, and adapted information and speech. So 3 of us experts from Balkan Museum Networks, we have to say that this was objective analysis of the findings obtained from the respondents. We didn't influence the results of our opinion of the respondents. The findings don't reflect the personal views, experience, and knowledge of experts. That's why I'm commenting every answer and response. And the findings are experts' conclusion based on data received. Experts will continue to contribute and support the work of cultural institutions with target groups to improve equity, access, accessibility, and social inclusion by providing more effective information, training projects, and other relevant resources. We will more work on ensuring that cultural sites and institutions are physically accessible to all, providing resources like braille guides, audio description, sign language support, offering online and offline experience, designing activities to a wide range of disabilities, training for staff, which we always do through Balkan Museum Access Group, and promoting the rights and needs of individuals with disabilities, implementing and monitoring policies that ensure accessibility, and tailoring accessibility measures to the unique challenge of museums, galleries, historic sites, and performances. Thank you very much, and I am always happy to receive question, if it is now or later.
Thank you, Irena, also for this broader picture about the future commitment of experts towards inviting disabled people into cultural institutions. We don't have anything in chat, but maybe in the smaller groups, people will be more free to comment. We will divide ourselves into several groups, but before that, I would like to invite our colleague and Professor Dorothea Papathanasiou. Sorry for mispronouncing your surname. Papathanasiou.
It's okay.
You can pronounce it correctly. She will talk about the inclusion digital experience. What are the principles and practices for inclusive narrations? So what do museums do? They tell stories. It's all about narrative. So what do we mean about principles and practices for inclusive narration?
Well, thank you very much for this wonderful invitation. And I have to say, looking at the chat, I'm very impressed because we have great addresses here in our neighborhood. We don't have anything to be envy of from great institutions because they're all there, at least in our neighborhood and around it. Thank you, Aida, for raising the awareness and the interest of such great stakeholders, because we consider all of you multi-stakeholders of the project. Now, I will try to share my screen, and I will, let me see, this is content only, stand out, no, I think I will share my whole screen. I don't know, can you see? Yes, you can. Yes, good. Then I will go on to take you to a journey about the content. So we spoke a lot about rules, regulations, but we have not spoken so much about the content. And this is exactly the point and the topic that I will deal with it today. Dear friends and relatives, as you know, technology is American. We are hostage into the hands of Americans. And despite the fact that they can help, technology can help to realize some interesting solutions, it can also be something useless. And I mean by that, what is the best software if you don't know how to use it? And I'm not speaking about technical issues. I'm speaking about, let me say something very provocative. I take a picture of Adolf Hitler, and I animate it, and Hitler says, I'm a good boy, the world has misunderstood me. Is it ethical? Technology can do anything. The thing is how we use technology to convey the message, because in cultural heritage, I hope you all agree with me, it is about conveying a message. And Mürsel, in his previous presentation, said it has to be ethical. We are here to convey an ethical message. How to construct this message? I was very naive, I have to say, when this project started, because I thought, all right, we have the best intentions here. We have the methodology. We're going to follow the easy-to-read methodology. We have followed this. I got several tips from my colleagues, from discussions with Aida Šarac, Irena Ruzhin, Ibrahim Diken, and Tezcan Cavusoglu, who we had more vivid conversations, that indeed there is a need out there, especially in rural areas, but not only, I think also in metropolitan areas. And in the end, take a non-disabled person, 16-year-old. Do you think it is interesting for him to talk him about mosaics and things that are very, very far away from his own world? That is, I don't know, MTV or Netflix or other things that we, at least my age group, is very, very far away from him. Now, another problem that appeared while dealing with the content is how to deal with story. In the audiovisual industry, when we mean a story, we mean a story with heroes, with a scenario, a treatment, as it is called, with actors. If we had a lot of money, we would have taken some actors. And we would have dressed the actors according to the scenography, and everything would be fine. But if you take an artwork and you want to animate it, most of the 99% of the software that I have checked, and believe me, with Daniel Weiss, we've checked a lot of this kind of softwares, they animate according to a commercial use. So you get a picture that is first of all copyright free, so it is from Europeana or your own collection, or you have bought legally from a photographer assigned to do the photography of the whatever, your resource. And then it's animated, and then it becomes something like Marilyn Monroe, or it becomes like a guy that is very modern. Already I hear the screaming of my colleagues from History of Art. Oh, you desecrated the artworks. So technology doesn't always help you to do what you want. And what you want is convey the message and impact the audience, the specific audience that is more complicated than the so-called audience without disabilities, who doesn't have a disability. I don't belong to the disabled people, but I can't see well, so maybe a very margin of myself also belongs there. Yeah, and other things, copyright issues. What would Europeana say if I for instance, present something and then the copyright is not okay? But okay, thank you for Europeana and Creative Commons license. The copyright question is solved. But when you work with segmenting digital identities to set up a whole story, you will see that is not always right. And what you think you can manipulate, because it is about image manipulation in the first place, to give you an understanding what exactly is meant, you see that, all right, this is not correctly animated, the prompt is wrong, I cannot use it because it has become ridiculous. For instance, one of the biggest problems I had with animating artworks is that the American Colgate smile was always there, and I cannot animate a saint from the 11th century or the 14th century that has a bright smile that is very modern today, but not then, because they didn't have. The software, almost all of it, is targeted to present the modern view of the human that is perfect, enhanced even by cosmetic surgery. And this is not the case here. So another part that we have to, let me say, complete or conclude with is the didactical part, because at the same time you have to explain what is the monument, what is the monument value, what is the statement of significance in a very simple sentences. And in terms of this pilot project, it's a pilot project actually, it is situated in Chios, Greece, and it deals with two distinct parts. One is a UNESCO monument, the Monastery of Neamoni of Chios, that together with St. Lucas and Daphne in Boeotia and Daphne in Attica, it belongs to the same UNESCO complex. They are all of them of the 11th century and have the same, it's the same designation, what I mean by that. And thankfully to this, we have, through the UNESCO criteria, also developed the statement of significance. So why it is important and why somebody has to have an experience there, it was already pre-given. That didn't happen with other with the rest of the resources that had to be already stated. Why do you need to learn about something? This why is very important, and it goes beyond the specific target group. So why something is important to experience or to learn about doesn't have to do with your audience. It is independent of the audience. A lot of artworks have been collected, several thousands for each story, and to decide which I can use, and which I can manipulate. For instance, here you see that it is not a whole image, but it is because this part of the image was the part of the image that is missing is the destroyed part. So I also teach, so to speak, my audience, my digital audience, to learn how to look at this, and in the end, in their mind, to reconstruct. I am going to show a little bit of this that is a test, and it is in English. So the English part, the English version of this is not supported by sign language videos. It is only for the general audience. It is, which in the Greek version, it is supported. It doesn't have text-to-speech because it is for introduction purposes only. So text-to-speech and sign language videos are part of the whole in the Greek version, because the audience, as we know, the disabled people, the people that need these assistive technologies, are in the national language or in the local language. There was a lot of discussion and a lot of training that we have enjoyed in Sarajevo for this, so we managed to apply. And of course, every story is different, so every story needs a different viewpoint. Now, this part of the story that I'm going to show now immediately is about someone who, as a young boy, managed to become an icon painter, how we're going to see, and he narrates his story, the story, until he became very old. Let's have a small sample, and then we can see another example.
Are shining, they are made in the fire. It is an art to last forever. Mosaics is the art of painting with colored glass and gems. Different skilled artists work with large amounts of precious material.
The base is a white surface. There we draw a design. We follow the design and fill the white surface with colored hue. All the tiny cubes are quadruples in shape.
The reflection and colorful contrast of the mosaics outshine all painting. Thousands of small light reflections create an unimaginable view.
The artists of Naumoni will not be remembered for the deeds of their mortal lives. Their masterpieces will narrate the glory of the empire.
And I should note that the cognitive load theory was applied here. So to manage cognitive load, let's say it's an unknown word, because this is part of the ebook, and because this ebook has also a lexicon in it, if you see it isolated, you will have to deal with more cognitive loads. But if you see it in the book, you can click with your hand to the unknown word that is also in the text, that is the same text provided here. And it makes life easier, it makes understanding easier. But now you cannot see this because it is not yet set up.
Humble ancestors cultivated the land and raised animals. My father, exhausted from feeding so many mouths, sent me to the monastery. There, I learned to write, read, and be a good Christian. The monks also taught me the art of mosaics. Soon I became famous as an artist. One day, a nobleman from Constantinople saw my work. He liked it and took me with him. My mother was desperate when I left, but I wished to exchange my humble village for the Queen City.
So the story is very easy. It's a boy that is from impoverished condition. The father sends him to the monastery, and then he starts to evolve. and he wanted to leave his village for the rich city. And it is a universal design here hidden, because this story we know why it is even migration is about having a better life, escape from climate change, from war, from whatever. It's not a great invention, but it's a very convincing one. The boy that was given to the monastery by the father that could not support it, then he wanted to go to experience something big, and in the end he makes revelations and narrates his own. So the boy, the design evolves. You have the boy, then you have the young man. This is going to become now an old person. And at the same time, what I have to say, this is a very specific narrative for a Christian audience. So they do know who is Jesus, they do know what is an angel, you don't need to explain this. And according to the age set, for if you have a severe intellectual disability, maybe you cannot, most probably you cannot follow this. For light disabilities, and blindness and deafness or hard of hearing and visual problems, you do have already, through your socialization process, the knowledge of this. Sometimes, if needed, more explanation comes in the way that the narrative involves this explanation.
I spent many years working with mosaics at the Imperial Workshop. One day, we heard that Emperor Constantine was going to build a new monastery. The best craftsmen and artists he had would sail to the island of Chios to build it. This is how I arrived in Chios as the master of mosaics for Neamoni, the new monastery. Christ is being baptized. His godfather is John the Evangelist. He was the first man on earth to preach that Jesus has at last come to this world. I painted John taller and larger than all other figures because he is the godfather. A dove is flying towards Jesus's head, accompanied by a shaft of light.
So if you see that there is the whole artifact is being segmented to parts, so that the narration supports the understanding of the whole artifact, and the segmentation of parts of the artifact is not there to desecrate the artifact, but to make understood who is involved and why are these people there and what is happening in the picture and so on and so on. So I have to admit that the religious part of Neamoni and the iconological cycle, as it is called by archaeologists, the biggest challenge, especially if you are not religious.
A boy sheds the water out of the pot in the river Jordan.
One day, Jesus led 3 of his beloved pupils, Peter, John, and James, to pray at the top of a mountain. Praying, his face like the sun, and his clothes became brilliantly white.
Jesus is in the middle of the scene, dressed in white, surrounded by a blue cloud. The blue cloud is the sky, where God, the Father of Jesus, lives. In painting, we call it glory.
The prophets Elijah to the right and left of Jesus. They predicted that Jesus would come into this world. Now they came down from the sky to talk with him.
A bright cloud appeared overhead, and a voice from the cloud sounded. This is my son, the beloved. Listen to.
Jesus is very fond of John, his beloved pupil. That is why I painted John to be closer to Jesus than all the others. John, filled with awe, bends in front of Jesus. He raises his hand toward him.
Christ died on the cross. Mary stands on her feet, mourning the death of her son. Her sisters, Mary Magdalene and Mary Clopa, John, his beloved pupil, and a centurion, surround Christ in deep sorrow and pain.
Mary stands on her feet, mourning for her dead child. You can still feel the sorrow and the pain by looking at Mary's hands.
They are crossed on her chest. She is helpless, unable to react, devastated. Her sisters, Mary Magdalene and Mary Kulpa, are there to support her. They show deep compassion. But are they able to console a mother who lost a child?
Take a closer look at cover too.
For the sake of time, Dorothea, can we maybe provide the links for the participants?
I will. I have not uploaded yet, but okay. Just to comment one last thing. So, if you go to the archaeological sources and archives, you will see that this whole mosaic issue, especially in these monasteries, they have to do, and in all churches in Europe, in all churches everywhere actually, they narrate the story of the life of Christ. So it is the most incomprehensible thing you can experience as a student. I dealt with it as a student a lot. So what I have tried to make here is to segment its event from the life of Christ with emotions. So the birth that is shown in another video, the baptism as we saw here, the crucifixion, and then the resurrection. So using the elements to make the story understood. It is not my story, because this story is given by the archaeological sources. It is the story of the monument. My story, or the story of any creator, is to invent the people, so to animate the people that narrate this story in another way. So we have a lot of other things to show. That is not the only one. Maybe this one, that just as a sample for 1 minute. That is just a moment. Do you see anything? Something? No, you don't see. Just a moment. Just a moment. I have not shared. Stop. I have to stop sharing. Just a moment. How can I change this one? Or maybe I don't. I give you the links so that to save some time. Yes, these are the way to work. It's not the formula that has solved all the problems. Is the formula that accumulates the problems together. Summing up, what do I do with the vast amount of information? How do I raise the interest? How do I animate artworks, not using avatars, because avatars are popping avatars is something that gives me the creeps myself. How do I? How am I legal using only copyright material to create the narration? Because how do I calculate the cognitive load? That means how easy is my story to be perceived with all composed elements together? I'm still struggling. We are still struggling, but we do hope that in the end something good is going to come up with this. Thank you.
Yeah, I realize that we have so much to present that I think we will need one more online event focused only on content and getting feedback from our participants about the content. But we have said so much, and I would like to propose that people discuss in smaller groups. So I will copy and paste in the chat 2 questions. So please all read them. Discuss in your group. You will be around 5 people. How are these research findings relevant for you personally and what you do every day in your institution? And if you can, list at least 3 recommendations that you can implement in your organization in the next year. So something you would like to take as a first step, 10th step, something concretely that you could like to do in the next year. So discuss in your group for the next 10 minutes. We will be automatically signed, so I'm not sure if all groups will be evenly distributed. But if you can, after this 10-minute discussion about these two questions, just give us a key topic, something that was the most prominent in your, I know it's very short, 10 minutes, but try to just say something that really impressed you from these findings and what stick to you as a positive or a negative side of the state of affairs currently in cultural institution related to access. If there are no questions, let's go into our breakout rooms. Enjoy your discussion. You're not in your breakout rooms, no?
No, nothing happened.
Okay, sorry, I need to click open rooms. There are 8 people who are unassigned. Now? room and close the rooms.
I will say the jokes.
Welcome back, everyone. I like this smile that is coming from you.
Yeah, it's a very hot discussion. Very interesting.
We still have some people in a few rooms.
We need another project to go on. To solve the issues, we need another project or several projects even.
Who would like to share some key themes from the group 1?
I don't know
who is group 1?
Or anyone who would like to share. I can share, for example, that Dorothea, from your presentation, what was really appreciated by our colleague from Crete is a consideration of ethical new considerations. So that's like the line of thought that is really now important to take into consideration when working with topics like this. So, and we also discussed that there are some good examples, even if we see that things are going slowly, but there are some examples that should be highlighted. So we actually discussed the contribution to the forthcoming conference in highlighting these good examples. Everyone is not
okay.
back yet.
We discussed that we need more access to copyrighted material through, for instance, sources like Europeana or the Council of Europe or even the Google Art project that have this copyright license for didactical issues, because it is impossible if you go into creation to have all the to assign photographers and to assign and to have this copyright. That is something, but even with vast, I don't know how many million objects are in Europeana, many countries and the national aggregators that give these materials to Europeana, that aspires to be the digital hub of Europe, is still not very imagined. That in my collection, I have 3,000 shots, pictures from Neo Monique, which I shot myself, and I also assigned a photographer. And in Europeana, there are about 300. So it's a ratio 1 to 1,000, meaning that we don't have yet from the national aggregators, and imagine aggregators like the Louvre, I don't know, the British Museum or whatever, even the smaller museums. The smaller museums are even, I think, more of a problem because they don't have the infrastructure to provide. So, to sum it up, it's difficult to make lovely stories, digitalize them, because you don't have the materials. So we need the primary sources, the object ID to do. And we also said something else, that it's difficult to have recommendations for generalized one, because it does not apply, especially in the context of disability. Very different nuances come up. How much do you see? Where do you are? Are you in an exhibition? Are you with a digital, let me say, infrastructure like here? Can you see it is a video, or you are somewhere where you need, to activate the touch, or you need 3D objects? So every recommendation should be is for very small, very thin target group. This is what we said. To my understanding, I don't know, Kevser and Jove, something else that needs to be said?
Yeah, that's it. Nothing to add.
Anyone else would like to share what you discussed? Christina, yeah, Irena, you raise your hand.
Can I share?
Can I speak?
Irena raised her hand. Sure.
Okay. I was in a group with Natasha, Claudia, and Emina, but Emina didn't open camera and microphone. So 3 of us can say that the research was very useful for us and relevant for our work. Claudia is in a very specific situation with her museum, and she don't know if she can implement something the next year. Natasha is from NGO. She's from Sarajevo, and she said that they are very happy that the mindset in museums is changing. And she attended many beautiful events in National Gallery in Sarajevo. And she said that she's happy when she see the people with disabilities, children with disabilities, that they are happy, and congratulations to Aida Šarac Berbić for that, I think. And related to the question what we are going to do next year, I can say that 3 things. I will do more, but the next next month it will be promotion of suitcase for Museum of Contemporary Art in Skopje. My colleague Jove was involved in a very beautiful and nice and useful project supported by Balkan Museum Network and Hedley Fund. And we will organize promotion of multisensory experience, tactile images, audio, video and sign language, braille letters, and everything is one suitcase. The next project will be our tactile exhibition in December. Institute and Museum Bitola will have 3D tactile exhibition next month. And of course, we are expecting to promote our inclusion story, which we are working on in this project. So a lot of activities according to accessibility.
Great. I'm aware of the time that we are already 12 minutes, but Aida, please, you also wanted to share highlights from your discussion.
Yes, I was paired with Silva from Association Our Children in Mostar. They work with orphaned children with intellectual disabilities mostly, and colleague Elena, she didn't respond in any moment, so Silva and I decided to continue in Bosnian. And it was destiny because I recently implemented an activity for their users in Mostar, and she said that that was the highlight of their year. And she said that the findings of this research are very relevant to their association because until now they didn't had any accessible cultural events or activities for their users. So this is a totally new field for them, and I hope that we will continue more meaningful collaboration in the future. And regarding the 3 recommendations that my museum, National Gallery of Bosnia and Herzegovina, could implement in the next year, I think that it could be a visual signalization because we don't have it at the moment. It's very easy to implement that, and it's very useful not only to people with disabilities but also for typical persons to get along in a public institution. After that, I think that it would be useful that the whole collective of my museum gets training on disabilities, because I'm not always present at the museum, and it would be good that the people who are greeting the visitors at the entrance also know how to refer to those people and how to respond to their needs. And the third recommendation that we could adopt is having the official policies on equal access to our contents and their meetings. So that's it from Sarajevo.
I like that it's different levels, on a policy level, on a space of the gallery level, so that you are really. Thank you all. Let's not be more than 15 minutes longer than planned. I would like to kindly invite you to fill in the evaluation form because it's important that you tell us how we can make an event like this more useful. Also, if you want to tell us something, you can always write an email. The speakers already shared emails, but we will also share email addresses in one unified thank you email to all the participants who registered, sharing the presentations and also sharing email contacts of the project and of the presenters. Anyone would like to say something for the end? If not, I wish you a nice rest of the day and keep working on inclusion for disabled people to culture heritage. Stay in touch with the project and with all of us. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye.